Eric's story of old age reminds us that listening is the bond that connects family members. When parents and children understand each other, neither party will feel lonely, forgotten, or useless in their own home. Let us know where you're watching from. Now, relax and enjoy this amazing story. Eric Parker, a 72-year-old widower, sat in the small room he now called home, gazing out at the bustling streets of Austin, Texas. Life felt like it had passed him by. His once strong body was now frail, his sharp memory hazy, and his heart weighed heavy with the loneliness of feeling unnecessary. Living with his son Frank and daughter-in-law Ivy wasn't what he had imagined for his later years. He had raised Frank as his own, after marrying Rosa, Frank's mother. Though not his biological son, Eric had loved Frank deeply. But now, Eric occupied his grandson's old room. The quick goodbyes in the mornings, the meals left by Penelope, their nosy but kind neighbor, all of it reinforced his belief that he had become a burden. "Eric, they don't want you here," Penelope had said one afternoon, shaking her head. "It's the same story everywhere. Once we get old, our children stop seeing us as people." Her words echoed in his mind on his lonely birthday with nothing but a slice of store-bought cake. Eric made a decision. He'd no longer weigh his family down. "Take me to a nursing home. Sell the land in San Antonio and use it to pay for my stay," he told Frank one evening, his voice steady but broken. "Dad, not now. Let's talk about it later." Eric's mind wandered back to San Antonio, to the life he had built with Rosa, the woman who transformed his world with her warmth and laughter. Their modest wooden home wasn't extravagant, but it was everything they needed. Its creaking floors and chipped paint held memories that time couldn't erase. The scent of fresh tortillas wafting from the kitchen, the sound of Rosa humming her favorite ballads as she watered the plants, and the sight of her dancing barefoot on the porch during summer rain. It was a sweltering summer evening when everything changed. A thunderstorm had knocked out the power, plunging the neighborhood into darkness. Exhausted from a long day of tending his potato harvest, Eric lit a candle to brighten the dim room. He placed it on the coffee table and sank into the worn sofa, intending only to rest for a moment. The gentle flicker of the flame cast shadows that danced along the walls. But soon Eric's tired eyes closed. He didn't know how much time had passed before he woke, choking on the thick, acrid smell of smoke. His lungs burned with every gasp, and his heart raced as he realized the house was on fire. Flames licked at the walls, devouring everything in their path. The orange glow illuminated the photos on the mantel. Eric's body froze as panic gripped him. "Rosa!" he called out instinctively, though he knew she was gone. Eric stumbled toward the door, but the heat was overwhelming. He felt himself falter, his vision blurring as the smoke suffocated him. Then voices, shouts, hands breaking down the door. "Eric, stay with us!" As the flames reduced his home to ashes, the fire department arrived too late to save anything. All that remained was a blackened skeleton of what once was. Rose's keepsakes, her favorite chair by the window, the garden tools she had used to plant flowers. Eric woke 24 days later in a hospital, his body battered but alive. He wasn't grateful. His survival felt hollow, a cruel twist of fate. What was left for him to live for? Frank arrived soon after, his eyes filled with relief and concern. "Dad, you're going to come stay with us in Austin." Eric nodded numbly, unable to protest. The move to Austin felt like exile. Frank and Ivy welcomed him into their home, but Eric couldn't shake the sense of loss. In Frank's home, Eric felt out of place. The city buzzed outside the window, a sharp contrast to the peaceful countryside he had known. The silence inside the house was louder than he could bear. Frank and Ivy were kind but preoccupied, and their neighbor Penelope's well-meaning but blunt words only deepened his sadness. "They're young. They don't understand what it's like to lose everything." Eric didn't respond, but her words echoed in his mind. He had lost his home, his wife, and the simple joy of feeling useful. It was early Saturday morning when the knock on Eric's door startled him from his restless sleep. He sat up, rubbing his tired eyes as his son Frank entered, carrying a pressed white shirt and slacks. "Pack your things, Dad. We're going on a trip." Eric froze, his breath catching in his chest. A trip. He had asked for this, pleaded even, but now that the moment had arrived, his heart filled with dread. Was this really how it would end? His hands trembled as he reached for the neatly folded shirt. Frank lingered for a moment, watching him. "Don't take too long. We'll leave in an hour." Eric sat in silence for a long while, staring at the open suitcase on his bed. He carefully folded his few shirts and pants, tucking them into the suitcase with precision. He paused when he reached Rosa's photograph, his fingers brushing over the worn edges. It was his most precious possession. "I'll take you with me." The car ride began in intense silence. Frank drove with his usual focus, his eyes fixed on the road ahead. Ivy sat in the passenger seat, scrolling through her phone before turning to look back at Eric. Her smile was faint but warm, almost reassuring, though it puzzled him. What was there to smile about on a day like this? Eric's gaze shifted to the scenery outside. The towering skyscrapers and crowded streets of Austin soon gave way to suburban neighborhoods, then open fields. Rolling hills stretched into the horizon, dotted with patches of wildflowers and the occasional grazing cow. The car climbed a winding road flanked by tall, swaying trees. The dense forest blocked out the sun, casting dappled shadows on the pavement. Eric squinted at the unfamiliar surroundings, his heart racing. There were no signs of civilization, no houses, no people, no nursing home, just endless stretches of trees and the occasional clearing where sunlight pierced through. "Where are we going?" "You'll see," Frank replied cryptically, a faint smile tugging at his lips. Eric's mind raced. Was this Frank's way of sparing him the humiliation of a goodbye? A secluded nursing home far from the city, where visits would be rare, if ever. The thought clawed at him, each turn of the road amplifying his unease. Eventually, the car slowed, the tires crunching over gravel. Eric peered out the window, his breath catching in his throat as they pulled into a clearing. The trees parted to reveal a sight that made his heart pound in his chest. "Welcome home," Frank said, killing the engine and turning to face him. "We're here, Dad." Eric hesitated, his body stiff as Frank opened the door and extended a hand to help him out. He stepped onto the gravel, his legs unsteady, his heart racing. As he adjusted his glasses, squinting against the sunlight, it wasn't what he expected. Before him stood a house, not just any house, but his house. The white paint shimmered in the sunlight. The porch railings were freshly built, and the windows sparkled with a clarity that felt surreal. It was as if the fire had never touched it, as if his memories had been brought back to life. Eric's knees buckled, and Frank quickly steadied him. "Careful, Dad. What is this?" "Welcome home." Eric stepped cautiously into the house, his breath catching as he took in the sight before him. It was both familiar and new, a living echo of the life he had thought was gone forever. The polished wooden floors gleamed in the sunlight streaming through the windows, and the warm, earthy tones of the walls wrapped the space in a quiet embrace. He ran his fingers over the furniture. On the mantel above the fireplace, his gaze locked on a photograph from his wedding day. Rosa's radiant smile seemed to light up the room, her happiness preserved forever in that simple frame. "We rebuilt it. Every nail, every beam. We wanted it to be just like you remembered. You did this for me. You've given me so much, Dad. It was time for us to give something back." Eric looked around the room, tears blurring his vision. the warmth of the house, the love it represented, and the care with which it had been rebuilt overwhelmed him. He placed a hand over his heart and nodded, words failing him. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting streaks of orange and pink across the sky, Eric sat on the porch of his rebuilt home. The cool evening air carried the earthy scent of his garden, and the soft sounds of crickets filled the silence. Frank and Ivy sat beside him, their quiet chatter adding warmth to the moment. For the first time in years, Eric felt a deep sense of peace. "I thought I was a burden." Frank reached out, taking his father's hand. "You're not a burden, Dad. You're our foundation." Overcome with emotion, Eric pulled his son into a tight embrace, his gratitude spilling over in silent tears. "If one day your parents grow old and always worry about not being cared for by their children, what will you do? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story touched your heart, give it a like and share it with others. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to hear more inspiring stories. Goodbye, and see you soon.